For years, the only Oasis question that mattered was simple: will they ever share a stage again? That was it. But now that that has happened, there's a different fall creeping in, a quieter one people haven't probably sat with yet. Should there be a new Oasis album? And honestly, I don't think there's an easy answer. I genuinely think it could go either way. Here we are, Oasis have reunited, and somehow, someway, Liam and Noel actually seem like they kind of like each other again. That alone feels surreal. So is it finally time for a new Oasis album, or is that the one thing that really should be left untouched? I think we need to be honest about both possibilities. Here's something people don't always want to admit. Both Liam and Noel have quietly become far more reflective writers than they ever were in the 90s. This isn't 1994 anymore. They're not trying to soundtrack laddish youth culture or dominate magazine covers. They're writing from scars and memory, and from things they didn't understand back then. Songs like Once, If I Had a Gun, Dead in the Water, and For What It's Worth don't sound like youthful swagger. They sound like men who have lived, who've lost things, who've fallen out with people, who've had to sit with consequences, whether they wanted to or not. So imagine that kind of songwriting inside Oasis. Not Oasis trying to cosplay their younger selves, but Oasis as they are now. Two near 60-year-olds looking back at a war they both survived, and finally saying, we're still here. We made it. That could be genuinely powerful. It could actually mean something. And let's not rewrite history here. Oasis ballads were always where the real emotional weight lived. They were the secret weapon. Under all the noise and bravado, they could still break your heart when they wanted to. A new album could be a celebration of Oasis' survival, a reflection on brotherhood, a quiet thank you to fans who waited for years without knowing if this moment would ever come or not. Maybe even a strange kind of love letter to the band itself. But yeah, I'll say it, we also need proper rock music again. Not algorithm chasing rock, not playlist friendly background noise. Just guitars, drums and songs written from the gut. Even if it comes from two blokes pushing 60. Maybe especially because it does. Rock music doesn't have to have an expiry date. And that's the idea of closure, finishing the story properly. No more what ifs, no more speculation. Done right, an Oasis album could be one of the most emotionally honest British rock records ever made if it came out now. Not because it tries to outdo the past, but because it finally speaks from the present. But then there's the other side of it, and it's a big one. Oasis aren't just a band anymore. They're a myth, a memory, a snapshot of youth that people hold on to fiercely. And the moment you release new music, that myth has to walk into the present day, where people will absolutely tear it apart. Even if they release something beautiful, something restrained and heartfelt, there would still be people saying, yeah, but it's not definitely maybe, is it? The comparisons would be relentless, brutal, completely unfair. And Oasis are one of those fans where their early records don't just define them, they trap them. Everything is measured against a moment in time that can never be recreated. And playing together live again is one thing. Standing on a stage singing Don't Look Back in Anger to tens of thousands of people, that's fine. That's nostalgia, that's warmth. Everyone agrees to remember the good parts together. But going into a studio is different. Studios bring pressure. They bring control issues. Old arguments, creative clashes. Wounds you thought had healed can open very quickly once decisions have to be made. Maybe Oasis being back as brothers, as friends, as a live band, maybe that's the real victory. Maybe we don't actually need another album. Maybe letting the legacy breathe is the kinder option. Because a new album wouldn't just be music, it would be expectation. It would be everyone shouting what Oasis should be again. And after everything, do they really want to walk back into that fire? To make an album that people probably wouldn't appreciate for 10 years or so? And also the music industry isn't what it was. Albums don't live the same way anymore. Criticism is faster, harsher and louder. You have to impress right away. People would make their mind up after the first song. And some fans don't want Oasis to grow up at all. They want them frozen in time. But Oasis can't be that band anymore. And maybe they shouldn't have to be. So, should there be a new Oasis album? Honestly, I think both answers are completely valid. Yes, if it's reflective, if it's honest, if it comes from truth rather than pressure. If age is embraced rather than hidden. That could be something genuinely great, and know if it risks opening old wounds, if it turns into constant competition with the past, or if the magic simply lives safer in memory. Sometimes it's knowing when to leave something beautiful alone. But where do I land personally? I think they could make something great, maybe even something deeply human and heartfelt. But I only want it if it comes from a place of peace, not nostalgia, not obligation, not the world demanding it. Just two brothers, finally calm enough to write together again. Maybe they should just do one song, just to see Oasis off. Maybe one song they could put it off. If that does happen, I'll listen with an open heart. If it doesn't, we still have the songs that shaped our lives. And maybe that's enough. Please consider subscribing to Play It Loud if you love Oasis, Brit rock, 90s rock, retro rock, British rock, all of that stuff, and you love talking about it. Join me on this channel.